Mahomes, if you gave me Lamar Jackson with his great legs and Mahomes' great arm, or you gave me Baker Mayfield, who would I want? I would want Baker Mayfield, and the reason why is because Baker Mayfield.
I really think that now this is the worst case scenario for the San Francisco 49ers, is that they're going to have to cut ties with Jimmy Garoppolo if I were them.
What?
Oh my God!
Wow,
man!
In any event, Kyle Gibson is definitely my NL Cy Young Award winner. Rock on, Gibson.
And even
No way!
Oh my God!
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Sports Weekly. I'm Lauro Antonio, along with my guys, Isaiah Leung and James Gonzalez. I mean, James, it's been a while. I did a show with you, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm trying to get through this Angels season, but it looks like I won't.
Well, I mean, you accidentally blocked me on Facebook, so you're going to have to re-add me.
Yeah, Lauren. I mean, I'm doing good as well. James, it sucks that, your Angels are going through what you guys are going through, man. I mean, you started off hot. Now you are, entering the All-Star break, punting everything down the toilet. And, Shohei is looking likely and likelier to be gone as every day goes by. But I mean, it's not just your team, James. I mean, be thankful your team at least has a 500 record. I mean, my team, oh my gosh, we are, 42 games under 500, an absolute disgrace. The Phillies lost 2 out of 3 to the Marlins, man. Just a bad way on both sides to go into the All-Star break. But, man, I'm looking forward to the Home Run Derby tomorrow. Football training camps start in a couple of weeks. We got, NBA free agency. It was exciting, but not really as exciting, although the Lillard and Harden stuff are still going on. But, man, I mean, I can't wait for football. I really can't wait for football. I can't wait to see Brock Purdy become a franchise quarterback this year.
Well, anyways, we're going to start with our MLB team report. So we're going to start with mine and James's team report. We'll start with the Dodgers here, as the Dodgers swept the Angels and the Padres to end the first half. And then they've also lost Mike Trout 6 to 8 weeks, and they also lost Rendon and Ohtani, having minor injuries heading into the All-Star break, but Ohtani got to play in the 2 games against the Dodgers. But speaking of the Dodgers here, the Dodgers ended the first half of the season on a good note, taking 3 out of 4 from the Pittsburgh Pirates, and then sweeping the Angels in a mini 2-game series. As for the Dodgers, this offense really got it going against the Angels because, the Angels starting pitching wasn't really that good in that series. I mean, I'll start with James on this one here. I mean, you lost Rendon, and then Ohtani had a blister, but he still got the hit in that Dodgers series. And then Mike Trout is out 6 to 8 weeks. I'm telling you, James, and you might not be shocked at what I'm about to say here. I don't think Shohei Ohtani is going to get traded. I think he's going to remain with the Angels past the deadline. I think the Angels are going to give him the qualifying offer. He'll reject it. And then when he signs with my boys in blue, the Angels will get a draft pick compensation in return, which is my prediction here. As for the Dodgers here, before I get to you, the Dodgers will begin the second half of the season with the New York Mets next weekend, and the Mets have been struggling as of late. And then they'll play the Orioles and the Rangers, but I think the Orioles and Rangers series might be the challenging series over the Mets. James, I mean, the Angels have not been good. I've said Ohtani, I think, is going to be coming to my Dodgers, James, and you better be ready to see Shohei in Dodger blue next season.
No, I just won't be watching baseball, honestly, if that happens, because that's just stupid if he does. But he wants to win, so he wants to get away from a stupid organization like the Angels and go to a winner like the Dodgers. So that'd be a smart move on his part. Look, he starts, that Friday against Houston, probably get lit up. Alvarez might be back soon for the Astros. Houston's getting good right now. The Angels right now, shockingly, Isaiah, they're not at 500. They're a game below 500. They lost 5 in a row, 7 out of their last 8. So, yeah, that's why they're not above 500 or at 500. Lots of injury problems. It's not excuses, but they do happen. But it happens to the same people over and over again. The unfortunate part, it happened to our young guys, Neto and Ohapi. But those guys, the team had a direction, and then quickly went south. Probably after that Kansas City series 3 weeks ago, Urshela got hurt, a pelvic injury, which just sounds painful when you think about it. The starting pitching's been bad. There's been a couple guys that were good, Canning and Ohtani, of course. You throw in Detmers, has had some good starts. But then either the offense wouldn't score any runs for them, or they would have really bad innings. Just one bad inning would kill the start. And then the rest of Sandoval's been awful. He's lost his confidence. There's just a lot of wrong with the Angels right now. The offense is bad. The defense is bad. You know what I always say. The 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, and pitching. And they're not doing any of them well right now. Other teams, the good teams, the Braves, the Rays, the Orioles, the shocking Diamondbacks, they all do these things to do well. And so that's why they're doing well. And it's so hurtful, but I'm used to it already. It's going to be 8 straight losing seasons. I don't know I can't get, happy about a game. I think I went to my last one was on the 1st of July, and I'll see myself going to another game after this. I'm prepared when Ohtani is gone. Really, the Angels should have traded him last trade deadline to try to get more. I don't care to whom it was to, but it should have happened last trade deadline. So it's kind of too late when you think about it. So he might stay, and the Angels might offer him a lot. But he'll be smart enough to say, no, I don't want to continue to lose. I want to go to a winner. I want to be like I did with the Japanese team in WBC and go win some. So he could do that with the Dodgers. I heard Seattle's in the mix. Not really San Francisco, but Seattle and the Dodgers. I can't see him coming back to the Angels. That's why I haven't bought any Ohtani stuff. I'm willing to sell some Angel stuff. Of his, so holla at me. I got the bobbleheads going. So it's really bad right now, and it's going to get worse. The July schedule coming up, you got Houston, the Yankees, the Pirates, who used to be good. Detroit is trying to get better. They threw the no-hitter on Saturday, in which we'll get to. They got to face Toronto and Atlanta. And then August is worse. They have the upstart Reds, some Western opponents coming up. So it's just going to get worse for the Angels, honestly, and it's not going to be good. Even when Neto comes back, you still have the same problems. So it's not good right now.
Isaiah, I'm going to ask you here. Do you think the Angels are done?
I do. I think that their inevitable demise has come, sadly. When they got off to that hot start, I guess they were 7 or 8 games above 500 at one point. We all knew, and I think me and James talked about this off the air before, that they were going to come crashing back down to earth. That this team, it's like what Stephen A. Smith said, that whatever can happen, bad can happen, will always happen to this team. That's what all happens to the Angels: injuries, bad luck, errors, pitchers not performing up to expectations. I mean, it always happens to them, sadly. And it's been like year after year after year after year of this type of stuff. And you just know it's going to happen to them. And I look back to when the Angels outscored the Colorado Rockies. I believe they won that series I won the scoring in that series 32 to 7, I believe, something ridiculous like that. But they lost 2 out of 3 to the lowly Rockies. That's when I told James, you better watch out because I think the demise might be starting to come. And also, you look at what they've done since, guys getting hurt, Trout, Ohtani, Rendon, other people other people getting hurt as well, other people not performing, losing to teams you're not supposed to, losing to a team like the White Sox and just not taking 3 out of 4, splitting that series. And then you get swept by your crosstown rivals, the San Diego Padres. You get swept by them, a team that has been underperforming throughout the entire year, and then you get swept by the Dodgers in a 2-game set to end the first half. Just an embarrassing way for the Angels to end the first half. And I think that it's inevitable that Ohtani is going to leave. I think that Trout, he's getting older and older and older. I think if I'm the Angels, James and Laurel, you guys might call me crazy, I would build around Mickey Moniak. That's who I would build around. That guy has proven to be a great slugger for the Angels. He's proven to be a great run producer for the Angels. And he's proven to be a great energy buddy at the top of the lineup for the Los Angeles Angels. So, I think that the Angels, they're done. It was only a matter of time until they were start crashing back down to earth. But the Angels are done, and I don't know. I think Ohtani, sadly, James, will stay this at the trade deadline because I don't think Marino has the guts to trade him because he's going to be like, this is my moneymaker. I need my moneymaker. I know the team sucks, but I need to make money. I'm going to keep him. You're not going to get any prospects in return. You're only going to get a draft pick in the qualifying offer when he rejects it back. And then he's going to probably leave for either LA, San Francisco maybe as an option. But yeah, Ohtani is done in Anaheim.
Isaiah, I think Shohei Ohtani is going to be with my Dodgers next year. I'm already anticipating it in the offseason.
Oh, I know you are because you posted many stories, whether it's Facebook or Instagram about it. It will be very fascinating to see where he goes. I think he'll go.
I love the guy because the guy is this generational talent. And when he was posted back in 2017 offseason, he met with the Dodgers, but he didn't sign with the Dodgers off season because there was no DH in the National League.
Yeah, and I'm not going to predict where he goes because I know that's going to be a long debate that we're going to have probably sometime after the World Series. But let me just say this: Ohtani will break the record amount of money a player has gotten in a contract in the history of not only MLB, but I believe in the history of sports. I think we're about to see not only our first $500 million contract given out, but I think we're about to see our first $600 million contract given out. Because like you said, Laurel, this guy's a generational talent. He's special. He can hit extremely well. He is a great pitcher as well. So I think you're about to see this guy get, maybe 550 to 600 mil this offseason.
You're not saying he's going to be a Giant. I don't think he's going to be a Giant. I expect him to be in LA next offseason, this upcoming offseason. He'll just move up the 5 North Freeway.
I don't know. I don't think he's going to be a Giant. I'm not going to predict he's going to be a Giant, but I think that for Shohei, I think the Dodgers right now are the front runners. but I do see that he's probably going to meet with other teams before making a decision.
But I ultimately think I ultimately think, Isaiah, that Shohei Ohtani is going to end up wearing Dodger blue next year. I have a really good feeling about it.
Oh, I know you do. But for me, I'm just taking the wait and see approach right now.
I'm already content with it. So, anyways, Isaiah, we'll switch subjects here. I mean, the Philadelphia Phillies lost to the Miami Marlins, and you know the Miami Marlins are one of the surprise stories in baseball. And as for the Oakland A's, the A's have been utterly disappointing, to say the least. The worst record in baseball, which I kind of think they're probably going to get the number 1 pick in next year's draft. I kind of think they're going to be playing in Vegas in 2015.
Let me just say this. I'm going to give my team report on the Phillies first before I give my team report on the Oakland A's. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Phillies. What a disgraceful way to move into the All-Star break. Then with them losing 2 out of 3 to the Miami Marlins. This is the thing about the Phillies. It's like the thing about the Angels that James has kind of settled on, and that is, I don't understand this team. They play winning teams. They play teams that they shouldn't beat. They lose, or they end up beating them. They play teams that they are supposed to win, and they've owned in the past, and they lose. It makes no sense whatsoever. The Phillies are just so inconsistent. Some days the pitching pitches very well, the hitters don't hit. And then when the hitters do hit, the pitchers don't put up zeros. Like, it just makes no sense whatsoever. I know they are going into the All-Star break, 7 games over 500. That's great and all, but you should not have lost to the Marlins. This is a team you're chasing in the division and also in the wild card for a wild card spot. This is a series that you absolutely had to win, and I told James this before. The Philadelphia Phillies should have gotten swept in this 3-game series. If Christian Pache does not hit that miraculous home run with 2 outs in the 9th inning to give the Phillies the lead, the Phillies would have gotten swept by the Miami Marlins, and it would have been an utter embarrassment. But, I mean, Bryce Harper's injured now. He has an elbow injury, got hit on the elbow, the surgically repaired elbow by a fastball by a Marlins pitcher on Saturday. He didn't play today. I know Nick Castellanos, congrats to him on making the All-Star team. He's been playing outstanding for the Phillies. Other guys have stepped up, like Trey Turner has swung a hot bat recently. Guys like JT Realmuto has stepped up as well. But the Phillies offense, they can get going, but it's just they need to put together a complete effort. When the pitching's pitching well, you got to score some runs. When the lineup is swinging the bats well, you got to put up zeros on the board and not give up like 4 to 5 runs. So I want to see more of a consistent effort from the Phillies moving forward, and they need to start to win some of these series that they have to win in order to get to the postseason, because you're chasing the Marlins. You're chasing, other teams in the NL, and you've got to beat some of these teams that you're chasing in order to chase them down and get a wild card spot. So, I think for the Phillies, it was a good first half considering where they started, but not a good ending to the first half. And as far as the Oakland A's are concerned, I could go on a 15-day rant about the Oakland A's, but I'm not going to do that. But this team, they are the worst team in baseball, no doubt. Their young guys, sadly, aren't stepping up. Their free agent veteran acquisitions aren't really doing what they're paid to do. They got swept in Boston today. I know when they come back for the second half, they play the Red Sox to start the second half, so that's going to be rough. They play the Guardians too, I believe. So, it's a tough schedule for the A's. And, James, you talk about the Angels having bad luck. Just watch the Oakland A's get the worst record in all of baseball, lose 115 games, and get screwed by the Major League Baseball draft lottery and end up with, pick number, 3 or 4 in the lottery, and all of this tanking would not be worth it whatsoever. So, Yeah, I mean the Phillies are doing good, but I want to see more consistency from them. And then for the A's, I mean, please just make some trades at the deadline and sell your pieces and get some good prospects in return.
That probably they're going to be building for the future. I don't think they're going to be good next year too. So, anyways, here now we'll talk about the home run derby. I mean, my prediction is I want Mookie Betts to win the home run derby because the guy's been swinging a good bat, and I don't mean to be biased. If there's a Dodger that comes in the home run derby, then I go for that player. But I am picking Mookie Betts to win the home run derby tomorrow night. What about you, Isaiah? Who's your pick to win the home run derby?
Well, I'm looking at the guys that are participating in the home run derby tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a very interesting home run derby, to say the least. But I'm looking at the matchups right now. You got Luis Robert against Adley Rutschman. You got Adolis Garcia of the Rangers against Randy Arozarena. And then you got on the other side of the bracket, you got Pete Alonso against Julio Rodriguez. That's going to be a fantastic matchup. And also Mookie Betts versus Vladdy Jr. I mean, those two matchups are going to be absolutely insane. But for me, if I have to pick one, oh, wow. If I have to pick one, give me Adolis Garcia. This guy's got 23 home runs. He's shown immense power for the Texas Rangers this entire season. He's a guy that a lot of people are sleeping on. He's a guy that, if you throw him a pitch at his shoulders, he can knock that out of the ballpark. He's just got tremendous power. And, I think that, when you look at that side of the bracket that he's on, I feel like it's more easier than the side of the bracket that Mookie Betts, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Julio Rodriguez, and Pete Alonso are on. And I think that, that's going to be a bloodbath on that side of the bracket. And I think that those guys might tire each other out. And you're going to see a guy from the lesser part of the bracket with guys like Adley Rutschman, guys like Adolis Garcia. I think they could end up winning because it's just going to be such a bloodbath in that right side of the bracket that they're going to tire each other out and they're not going to have any energy for the final. So give me Adolis Garcia of the Texas Rangers.
What about you, James? Who do you want to win the home run derby tomorrow?
I don't care. Sammy Sosa.
Mickey Moniak.
Mickey Moniak, yeah. Look, I'm going to try to watch some of it, but after a while, I don't know what they need to do to make it better, throw like change-ups and curveballs and sliders instead of, BP fastballs. Yeah, looking at the groupings, I think the easiest is the left part, 1, 8, 4, 5. So I'm going to go with the shocker, and I don't think anybody's really, some people are picking him. But the way that he performed in the WBC for Team Mexico, I think it would be nice if Arozarena kept going and his style. I think that would do wonders for the competition if he won. Everybody loves his style. Everybody loves his braggadocious ways. Of course, Julio Rodriguez is going to be the hometown kid. Alonso and Rodriguez, remember, met up last year, had a great round. I'm going to go Arozarena. I want to see him win it. It'd be cool to some Ray especially. They need all the attention they can get. I'm going to go with Arozarena.
Anyways, those are good picks here, but now we talk about the MLB draft. I mean, College World Series champs LSU Tigers Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz are the first pair of teammates in MLB draft history to go 1 and 2 overall. Skeens is going to Pittsburgh, which I think he's probably going to be an ace for that staff because I think Pittsburgh is slowly in a rebuild. Their starting staff could be better. And I think in a couple of years, I think Skeens can really come onto the scene here. And as for Dylan Cruz, he's a highly touted outfield prospect since Bryce Harper came into the league. And I do think Cruz will have a future with the Washington Nationals. How long do I think we'll see them both in the majors? Maybe 2 to 3 years. because I think they're going to move up the ranks pretty quickly. What about you, Isaiah?
Yeah, I think that these are great picks. These are no-brainer picks by those two teams. The Pirates needed pitching. They got Skeens. He was the best player in this draft, so no doubt they're going to pick him. Cruz to Washington, kind of a little bit questionable, but the Nationals need outfield help with Soto gone to San Diego and Harper gone to Philadelphia. They don't really have a lot of studs in their outfield, so I like these picks. I think that how long we're going to see them in the league. Oh man, I think for Cruz it might take some time. I think give him about 3 to 4 years. Hitters take more time than pitchers to develop, but I think we could see Skeens in the major leagues in about 1 or 2 years. We could see him maybe like late next season, depending on how he develops, because he did stay in college for quite a long time and he did develop rather nicely in college. So I don't think he will need that long of development as other pitchers coming out of high school.
What about you, James? Did you think that both Skeens and Cruz are good picks for both the Pirates and the Nationals here?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And literally, Isaiah stole every word I wanted to say about those two and when they would come up. So I literally agree and would say the same thing about these two that were drafted. I totally agree. No one comes up right away unless you're really desperate and really good, like Zach Neto of the Angels and Ben Joyce, where you have to have them come up just because of expectations of the team. With the Pirates and Nationals, they're not going anywhere for a while, so you're just trying to build them up. And that's what you have to do with these two young guys. So I totally agree with Isaiah.
All right, next up, we're going to talk about there was a combined no-hitter in Detroit on Saturday. Matt Manning went 6 2/3 before Jason Foley took over the next 4 outs, and then closer Alec Lang got the final 3 outs. It was the 9th no-no in team history and the 20th combined no-hitter in the MLB. You know what I think? I think combined no-hitters are more common now because sometimes the starter, when they have a no-hitter, they can get up to their pitch count at 100 pitches, and that's why that's why the bullpen is common in these days for combined no-hitters. I mean, I think combined no-hitters are very impressive. I mean, the Dodgers had one back in Monterrey, Mexico. But Isaiah, do you think combined no-hitters are still impressive to you? Because I think combined no-hitters are becoming the common theme here.
Well, first off, congratulations to Matt Manning and the Tigers for that no-hitter. This year with all the new rules, the pitch clock and everything like that, and no shifts, I honestly thought we weren't going to see a no-hitter or perfect game because of all the new rule changes. And, it's going to be harder to get a no-hitter because you can't shift on the right side, and left-handed hitters will have an easier time pulling the ball to the right side. So the fact that we've had a couple of no-hitters in perfect games now, it's very impressive. Obviously, I don't want to talk about Domingo Germán's perfect game because, it was against my A's, and let's face it, he made my A's look like a bunch of minor leaguers with us not even registering a ball hit over 98 miles an hour. So that was very embarrassing. But yeah, I think that, whether it's a single no-hitter, whether it's a combined no-hitter, whether it's a combined perfect game, I think, it's all very impressive because they're very hard to do. Imagine the amount of pressure that the reliever comes in is facing, because if he gives it up, then you're going to have people be like, why did you pull the starter? Why did you pull him? And so he's got to keep it up. And I remember a situation, Laurel, and I think you remember this as well, that Ross Stripling was pitching a no-hitter against the Giants back when he was a rookie, and Dave Roberts took him out, and I guess the reliever gave it up on the very next pitch. So it's very difficult, and I'm very impressed. And here's also the thing that a lot of people aren't gonna bring up is that they threw that combined no-hitter against the Blue Jays. It wasn't against the A's. It wasn't against the Angels. Sorry, James. But it was against the Blue Jays with guys like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Matt Chapman, Bo Bichette, George Springer, with a lot of very talented hitters and some guys that are going to be future Hall of Famers when it's all said and done. So very, very impressive stuff by the Tigers, and congratulations to Matt Manning and Alex Lang and all the Tigers pitchers that participated in that no-hitter.
What about you, James? What are your thoughts on that combined no-hitter?
Well, it's good for Detroit. I mean, taking a look at their standings, they're 5.5 back. They're 11 games under 500 right now. It was probably their highlight of their season. There wasn't going to be many. And just like Isaiah mentioned, to do it against Toronto with all the power and their hitting in their lineup, that's very impressive. I don't care if it was a Saturday afternoon lineup. It don't matter to me. And then think about it, too. There's a lot of Toronto fans in the crowd because, Detroit's just right there where Canada is. So I remember one player saying, well, it was weird hearing, boos or hearing the crowd quiet, but it was because there was mostly Blue Jay fans there. So that was odd to see or hear for a no-hitter. Usually everybody cheers, but Jays had, I guess, frustrated the fans that day. You don't want to go to a game and see your team get no hit. But to me, going back to that question, I miss the days, but because of the pitch counts and all that stuff, you never see other from Domingo Germán. You don't see just the starting pitcher do it. It's always one or two or three guys. I think one time the Yankees got no hit, and it was by, I want to say Houston, and it was 5 different pitchers. And then they did one last year in the World Series against Philadelphia, and that was, I believe, 3 pitchers. But one day I know we just saw a perfect game from Domingo Germán. So I just want to go back to the old days where it's just one pitcher doing it. But as long as there's hardly any walks, I'm fine with that too. Because we saw the Edwin Jackson no-hitter in Tampa Bay, I think it was in 2008 or 9. I forget when it was, maybe 10. But he had 6 walks or 8 walks or something like that. He did get the no-hitter, but it just felt like a dirty no-hitter.
All right. Anyways, we'll talk about one big surprise and one big disappointment from this first half of the MLB season. For me, my big surprise this year in the first half of the season is the Arizona Diamondbacks. Nobody thought that the Diamondbacks were ready to compete in the NL West, but you know what? The front office with Mike Hazen and Ken Kendrick, they have done a good job in cultivating a young core that is going to help Arizona win in the long haul. I mean, Corbin Carroll has been great all year long. Even though he had a minor shoulder injury, he still battles and grinds out at bats, plays great defense in the outfield. Jake McCarthy has been decent. Ketel Marte, nobody even talks about him. But you talk about the Arizona Diamondbacks, although I do think their starting pitching could be a lot better outside of Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. But all in all, the Arizona Diamondbacks are a team that is just ready to compete, and I think that they can keep up with the Dodgers and the Padres in the division. And I also think that they're a team that is starting to get good. And I think that Torey Lovullo has done a good job with this, and I think it was a well-deserved extension. I think the biggest disappointment for me has to go to the Chicago White Sox. I mean, you still have all this talent on this roster, but you're wasting it. Like Luis Robert, you got to build your roster around him. You still have Eloy Jimenez that's good, but come on. Like, what do the White Sox have for them to be good? I mean, this team has just been really, really, utterly disappointing because their pitching isn't good. I mean, their bullpen hasn't been good outside of Liam Hendricks. But I do think that the Chicago White Sox right now, they're in 4th place in the AL Central, 38-54. They're better than that. Like, come on. Like, Isaiah questioned the Pedro Grifol hire as the manager of the White Sox, but things are not going well in the south side of Chicago. Isaiah, what is your one big surprise and one big disappointment from the first half of this MLB season?
Well, my big surprise, the Miami Marlins. I had a hunch that they might be a little bit good, but I didn't think that they were going to be this good. And I think the Miami Marlins are on their way to a playoff spot this season. Credit goes to Skip Schumacher. What an absolute great job he's done. The young pitchers there have developed nicely under him. Luzardo, who my A's traded to the Marlins in exchange for Starling Marte, he's definitely pitched like an ace there in Miami. Sandy Alcantara has struggled a little bit, but he has stepped it up as of late. And then, you look at the young players that they have there. You look at guys that have stepped up like Myers, and also Jacob Stallings behind the plate. Don't forget to mention Luis Arraez. I mean, the guy is like, he's hitting close to 400. Yeah, not 300. 400. The guy is hitting close to 400. And then, guys like Jorge Soler has stepped up. Just a great team. Great fun young team to watch. And also their bullpen. I mean, AJ Puck, who my A's traded to the Marlins this past season for JJ Bleday. He's now their closer, and he's done a great job for them as their closer, locking it down in the ninth. So I'm very surprised with how the Marlins are playing right now. Marlins Park in Miami, or Lone Depot Park, is absolutely rocking, and I hope the Marlins continue it because, I really want to see Miami into the playoffs because Lone Depot Park in the playoffs, I want to see that. I think it will be that would be a really strong environment come postseason time, and it'll be fun to see the Marlins in the postseason after many years of losing. And my biggest disappointment, honestly, has got to be the Kansas City Royals. You're talking to the guy that picked them to win the AL Central and not only win it, but to go to the ALCS. And Kansas City has looked absolutely dreadful this season. Vinny Pasquantino, I think that's his name. He was one of their best hitters. He's gone for the year. Their pitching has been awful. Outside of Aroldis Chapman, their bullpen has been downright awful. So, I'm very disappointed in the Royals. I know Bobby Witt's going to be good, or he's good, and he is really good right now, but I thought the Royals would actually take another step forward and compete for the AL Central. So, I'm very disappointed in the Royals. Also, Laurel, I just wanted to mention one player that I'm very surprised. I think that a lot of you guys out there are probably surprised by this as well. Aroldis Chapman. I mean, I thought, and I think you guys did as well, I think we all thought that he was done. When the Yankees were like, yeah, you don't need to participate in workouts for the postseason. You're not going to be on the postseason roster last season. I think all of us thought that, he was done. He was gone goodbye, and that he was going to probably retire and nobody was going to pick him up. But the Royals picked him up, and he's pitched outstanding for them. And he got traded to the Rangers, and he threw, 102, 103 at one point. That guy is back, and I can't wait to see what he does for the Rangers come playoff time.
What about you, James? What is your one big surprise and one big disappointment in the first half of this MLB season?
The surprise is definitely it's a facsimile of Arizona and Cincinnati. I think that's a 1A, 1B. You mentioned Arizona. I thought they'd be in third place, and I thought maybe they'll be close to a wild card, but they won't be as good as they are now. So I had that one in that prediction, but not as good as they're doing. But Cincinnati, no way did I have them doing anything. I had them in last, and they were just growing for one season or more. But this year they brought all their young guys up. Even Joey Votto's got into the mix. It's fun. They got to get Hunter Green back, though, and solidify their rotation. But if they don't want to, if they want to do an approach like Baltimore did last year and, trade some guys away and pick up some more youth, I think that's fine, too. Like what they did in the draft today was fine, where what they got. So maybe they go with the Baltimore approach. If they start to fall out of things, just build again for the future and come back next year, great. But right now, they're in first place. They're one game above Milwaukee. I don't think anybody had that. The disappointments, honestly, they're all in the National League as well. With the White Sox, I thought they were going to be bad. I didn't trust their manager, like Isaiah mentioned. Like, who the hell's that? When he came from the Royals, I thought, well, he should know the White Sox well. But it just shows you they have a bunch of scoundrels on their team right now. It was never the manager in a sense. I mean, La Russa was awful and he just needed to retire. But it's their players. It's the way they go about things. Like Tim Anderson, he's just not smart. He acts out. Robert Jr. and Eloy Jimenez are just lazy outfielders. So they have a lot of problems. And they have a lot of pitchers they can trade away and get youth back for. I think they need to do that this trade deadline. So for me, the disappointments are San Diego. Even though they're 4 games under, they should be right where the Dodgers and Diamondbacks are. Their Achilles heel has been their bullpen, not their starters, but as of late, it's been their bullpen. And they're finally hitting with runners in scoring position. St. Louis, who the hell had them in last in the NL Central? Remember, they were the worst teams in the NL. The worst
and they're
team.
throwing the ball around.
Yeah, they were the worst team in the NL for a long time. I mean, even my Angels swept them back in May. Nobody had that. So look, I didn't think St. Louis would be this bad. They were 8 games back, but now they're 11 and a half at the break. I feel like St. Louis, they still have enough to get up to where they need to be, but they just keep losing. Their pitching is awful. Their starters are awful. Jordan Hicks keeps getting talked about in trade rumors. So even if they have the best corners in the league, Arenado and Goldschmidt, everything else around them, Contreras, maybe he doesn't fit well there. It was an odd fit anyway, coming over from the Cubs. So St. Louis is a disappointment, and then I'll go to Philadelphia. The New York Mets. They're 18.5 out of the East, and part of that's Atlanta. But the New York Mets should be right where Miami is. I know injuries are an issue, but they still have a lot of their good players out there. It's not like they're just missing. Diaz from the WBC. That's all they're missing. Literally, they have a stacked team. There's no way they should be losing. There's no damn way. So I didn't mean Philadelphia. I meant the New York Mets. They should be where Miami or Philadelphia is right now. So all the disappointments, when you think about it, they're all in the NL.
Yeah, all the disappointments are in the NL, but now we go on to the NBA. Is that the inaugural in-season tournament will tip off on Friday, November 3rd, and it will culminate with the championship on Saturday, December 9th. Do I really like this in-season tournament? I think this is going to be good for the game when it comes to revenue and all that, but let's see how it happens. But I'm in a wait-and-see approach with the new in-season tournament. But I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'll start with you, Isaiah. What are your thoughts on this?
I absolutely hate it. I think the NBA has turned into the circus. I think that it has turned into a carnival. I mean, why are you changing something that wasn't even broken? I mean, the NBA was going great. The play-in tournament was great. The playoffs were great. This was one of the highest-rated NBA playoffs of all time, and now we have to put some carnival game in there, like we're playing in a carnival. I mean, what are we even doing? A mid-season tournament. Like, who is going to participate in this? There's no way LeBron's going to participate. Guarantee you, Giannis, some of these stars, Kawhi, they're not going to participate in this and risk getting injured in a mid-season tournament. And for what? You're going to have this, and people or teams going to get a meaningless trophy. I mean, let's let's take a quiz, for example. Well, let's take a poll. Would you rather have the NBA Finals trophy, or would you rather have the mid-season tournament trophy? I mean, it's just a clown show. It makes the NBA look like it's a carnival, not a professional basketball league. And I just think that this is a total disgrace of an idea. And I mean, it's laughable. That's what this idea is. It's just a laughable idea. When it was first proposed, I thought that, it was a joke. And then I was like, oh, crap, it's real? Are you kidding me? Get rid of it. It's like the runner and second base rule. It just makes the NBA seem like a gimmick sport, and it just doesn't make it seem like a serious league. So I am not in favor of this one bit.
Isaiah, I look at this as a chance for the NBA to get interesting again in the regular season, because they know that they've lost so many viewers for the regular season, not for the playoffs. I watched the playoffs, but I vowed not to watch much of the regular season coming up. I will watch some of the tournament depending on how it goes and the attendance, like you mentioned. They do have a cash prize and a trip to Las Vegas for this tournament. So at the end of it, I should say. So they want to do it that way. And then there's a feeling like, hey, your team can win it. Your horrible teams out there, all the bad teams out there, like everybody's into it. It reminds me kind of when you think about it, all the teams that win the Summer League championships, they have a feeling like they won something when they really didn't. It's a gimmick. They're going to try it this year. If it works out, they might keep it. But they're just trying to make the regular season interesting. And I guess I'll watch because there's something with it. But for me, I think if you shorten the regular season, you spice up the All-Star game festivities a little bit, maybe that will help too. For me, the All-Star game has become awful. I just want to see like a 3-on-3 competition or a 2-on-2, a 1-on-1 competition. I would love to see that more than a game, than a game with no defense. You keep all the other events, that's cool. But imagine wanting to see like, hey, LeBron versus Durant, or Curry versus Trae Young, or like what's a 1-on-1 matchup? You would see Giannis versus
myself versus Devin Booker. Simple.
Yeah, Booker versus somebody else. Like if you put those skills, the two guys that have similar skill sets, and play them 1-on-1 against each other in the All-Star festivities, I think that would be more exciting than the All-Star game. And then having this in-season tournament, I just feel like it's a money grab, and they're trying to make the regular season interesting, but then you have to play the rest of the games. And then that means more rest because you played the guys hard in the tournament. So those regular season games maybe won't mean a damn thing. So we're going to try it this year. We're going to see how it goes. But I don't know. Maybe it gives hope to those teams. And think about the timing of this. This is in November. All right? The league is just like almost a month in. There's teams that are out of it by that time because of injury, because of youth, because of the bad teams out there. And we saw last year, there's a lot of bad teams. It gives hope to those teams like, hey, if the good teams are sitting out there, guys, for the NBA championships or NBA playoffs, you might have a chance to mess around and win this in-season tournament. I don't know, but we'll see how it goes.
Anyways, here now. Now we talk about PJ Washington and Christian Wood are the remaining free agents that are on the market. Where do I think both of them will sign? I'm going to say Christian Wood to the Lakers because since you signed Jackson Hayes to potentially be your starting center, you probably should get a backup center in Christian Wood to kind of help utilize the second unit. That's where I would see Christian Wood go with. And then for PJ Washington, I would like to honestly see him with the. I would go with the San Antonio Spurs to pair with Victor Wembanyama. So, James, where do you think Christian Wood and PJ Washington will head with?
Oh, goodness. I want to say, man, this is tough. Christian Wood can just go about anywhere. He has that great scoring skill set. You look at Toronto as a destination maybe for both because they've lost Van Fleet. Maybe they could just get some scoring in there. Washington maybe could stay with Charlotte. Who knows? But Christian Wood, going back to him, man, I don't know. I think he wants to go to a definite contender. Lakers, Miami. Man, I don't know. But both want a good contract. Wood deserves a great contract wherever he goes. There might be some teams out there that can't afford to give him that. I would hope he goes maybe to the Knicks or the Raptors for me.
Anyways, now I don't know if Isaiah's back here. Isaiah, are you back?
I am.
So I want to ask you, where do you think Christian Wood and PJ Washington will go with?
I actually agree with you, Laurel. I think that the Lakers would get. Christian Wood because they need another big, and they have 2 more roster spots left. And Christian Wood, I think, would be a perfect fit for the Lakers because he can play the mid-range game. He's kind of like Rui. He can play the mid-range game. He can post up. He can drive into the paint and get his own bucket. And he can block shots as well. He's a very good offensive forward. Jackson Hayes is a good energy bunny on the offensive glass and also on the defensive glass. He kind of reminds me a little bit of a poor man's Tristan Thompson. Like, he's really good on the offensive end in terms of getting offensive rebounds, and he's also very good at getting lobs and slamming it home. So I think that, if you pair those two, Hayes and also Wood off the bench, I think that would be a good combination for the Lakers. And I think that you can match up better with Denver with Christian Wood on your team. And I think with PJ Washington, it's tough because it's like he's a guy that I think could get some money, but a lot of teams that have cap space already filled up their cap. So I think that, I could see him going to San Antonio. Orlando is another place I could see him going to. I'm trying to think, maybe the Rockets. I know they have a lot of money left, and they've signed a bunch of weird free agents so far. In Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks gave them massive contracts. So maybe Houston wants to take a flyer on him 1 year, big money type deal. But I could see those teams for PJ Washington.
Well, anyways, now we have another subject to talk about is the Golden State Warriors. I mean, Dario Saric and Chris Paul, former Suns, are now with the Golden State Warriors. So do I think these former Suns can help Golden State get back on top? Absolutely. I mean, I think when Chris Paul was traded to Golden State from the Wizards, I'll tell you, I think the Warriors are a great spot for him because I think Chris Paul can get a ring there. And I want to see Chris Paul get a ring and continue the Warriors dynasty. And I think Chris Paul would play well with Steph and Klay Thompson, and then you still have Draymond Green. I think the Warriors are still in good hands with this roster. And then you have Saric at center. What are your thoughts on this, Isaiah?
I think that the Paul move makes no sense because the Warriors like to play fast, and Chris Paul likes to play slow and methodical, and he likes to do the pick and roll. The Warriors don't really run a lot of pick and roll, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I think he's going to be traded midway through during the season. I think that you're not going to see Chris Paul long with the Golden State Warriors. I think that this is just they had to get rid of Jordan Poole So they had to get something back in return, and Chris Paul was the best they could get. So I think they're going to try to keep him for half the year and then probably trade him, at the trade deadline. In regards to Sarge, I think that's a good move for the Warriors because he fits their kind of big man that's thrived with them. A guy that can shoot, a guy that can post up a little bit, a guy that can defend and catch lobs. So that's what the typical Golden State big is. So I like the move. I still think Golden State needs to get bigger. Dario Saric cannot be your only big man that you get and be able to, and you expect yourself to compete with Denver and the Lakers and teams with like a lot of great bigs in this league. So I think the Warriors need to get bigger. If JaVale McGee gets released by the Mavericks, which he might, the Warriors should go after him. If if let's say I'm trying to think of other centers, maybe go get Christian Wood. I mean, he's available and he's probably going to only go for the veteran minimum. So. The Warriors, they need to get bigger because that was their big problem last playoffs was that they didn't have enough size, and Anthony Davis just kept bullying the Warriors on the inside.
What about you, James? Do you think Chris Paul and Dario Saric can help the Warriors win a championship?
It's all about health with this team. You never trust Chris Paul at the right time. Saric, we haven't really seen him play important minutes since Philadelphia. So hopefully this will open him up. Hopefully everything is good with Wiggins off the court and he can be 100% ready for the season. I agree with Isaiah in a way with Looney and JaMychal Green and Trace Jackson Davis being the tallest guys on the team at 6'9". It wouldn't hurt if if McGee was free, but who knows? I feel like they need a little more on the bench. That was the Achilles heel last year, and it was great that they got rid of Poole, but but Chris Paul's got to come up big, and it's weird too because they don't really need him. They need just another either big or just a point guard coming off the bench. But I don't know if Chris Paul is going to accept that role to come off the bench and be that point guard. That's the one question for me. I still think they're below the Lakers, below the Nuggets. They're right there. Well, Ja, he won't be there for how many games, so they're above the Grizzlies. I feel like the Suns are a tad better than the Warriors right now. So it'd just be like last year in the standings. They would have to get past those teams, and then maybe the winning will continue. But Curry's not getting any younger. Draymond, of course. Thompson as well. It's going to be interesting, and it's going to make the West still an interesting sight, even with or without Saric and Paul.
Anyways, now we talk about Victor Wembanyama. And at NBA Summer League on Friday, he tallied 9 points, 8 rebounds, 5 blocks, and 3 assists in 27 minutes versus the Hornets. And then today, Wemby put up 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 blocks in an 85-80 loss to Portland. I think Victor Wembanyama will lead the Spurs back to respectability because I think he's a guy that the reason why Popovich signed that contract extension, it's to coach Wembanyama. And I think Victor Wembanyama is going to learn a lot from Greg Popovich, and I cannot wait to see him in the NBA, and I can't wait to see him play the Lakers. What about you, Isaiah?
I think that Victor Wembanyama is going to be the next superstar in the NBA. I mean, this guy, from what I watched in a summer league today, he's absolutely worth the hype. He can shoot the three at an exceptional level. He can defend at a great level. The only thing I worry about for him is that, he's too small. He's too skinny. He's kind of like what Chet Holmgren was last year before he did put on some muscle. He needs to put on some muscle. If he puts on a lot of muscle, if he gets bigger and bigger, which I think he will because I think Popovich will make him do that, But I think that I think Victor Wembanyama is going to be a superstar in this league. His handle is already very good. He can run the offense. His passing abilities, which is the Spurs offense. I mean, they run that ball movement, player movement offense, and the Victor Wembanyama's passing is definitely going to be. It's definitely going to be beneficial for the Spurs, very instrumental in their offense. So I think he's going to be a superstar. I think this kid, his ceiling is definitely extremely high, and I can't wait to see it. And like I said, when he got drafted by the Spurs, whenever the Spurs are good, the NBA as a whole is just so much better. So I'm glad that he got. I'm glad that he went to the Spurs, and I can't wait to see those Spurs and Lakers battle, Spurs and Warriors, Spurs and Nuggets as well, because it's going to be so much more exciting.
What about you, James? What do you think Victor Wembanyama can lead the Spurs back to respectability?
Man, I really hope so. They have some good pieces on this team. Like, they're not ready yet, like Wemba is. I was watching Wemba, but I noticed one thing out of the two games. The first game, he didn't do so well. The second game, he did very well, especially at the end in the fourth quarter. One thing is he's got to work on his ball control. He's going to get swarmed by the defenders, and they're only going to get better when the real games come up. He's got to be more forceful. I think that'll come. If he's not scared, that'll come with the game. But you saw what he can already do in the summer league. The highlights that that others watched. That I watched the game where it's like, hey, he literally picked up a rebound. He didn't even have to jump, and he dunked it home all at the same time. After before coming down, it was amazing to see. He's shooting threes off of one leg, which is ridiculous. I remember Steve Nash doing that. People who do that, try to do that in desperation. He's doing that because he's meaning to do that. It's crazy for Wemba, but he's in the right organization. I think that's the key. Looking at the roster, Devontae Graham, Keldon Johnson, Doug McDermott, Osman, who they signed from Cleveland, Jeremy Shochan, a Vessel could be really good for him. They have some players there, but all of them have to grow as one. The hope is that they can get some free agents to come there in the future with Victor. But I was hoping, of course, personally, that Austin Reeves was going to go there. I think that would have been a cool duo. But they have Johnson, and hopefully they can just score together, mess around and win the in-season tournament. Do something great the first year. I think that's what everybody is hoping for and expecting. It might not happen, but I just want to see the Spurs back to the way they were in the thick of things. That'd be awesome with Victor being there.
Anyways, now we're going to talk about here now is Chet Holmgren averaged 14.2 points and 10 rebounds in 3 summer league games. I think OKC is going to be a threat in the league when Chet Holmgren is healthy. I just thought he had a really, really good. I think Chet Holmgren is going to be a Rookie of the Year candidate here. But what about you, Isaiah? What are your thoughts on Chet Holmgren?
I think that Chet Holmgren has absolutely looked like what we expect Victor Wembanyama to be in the coming years in this year's summer league. When you talk about Chet Holmgren, I mean, the guy can do what Victor can do and so much more. I mean, he can shoot the three, he can run the offense, he can be the point forward. He's a guy that can. I mean, have you guys seen his blocks in summer league? I mean, the guy's looking like prime Anthony Davis out here, and he's only like 20 years old. He's got so much more to grow. He, he can get a little bit bigger as well. With him, with SGA, with Lou Dort there, Josh Giddey, I think this Thunder team can seriously make a run in the Western Conference this upcoming season. I think we're looking at what the Phoenix Suns were with Devin Booker when they first came up. I think we're looking at that with this Thunder team. I think the Thunder team, when you look at it, and I'll always say it, if Chet Holmgren had played and if the Thunder had gone past Minnesota, I honestly think that the Oklahoma City Thunder would have beaten the Denver Nuggets in 7 games. The Denver Nuggets, they wouldn't have been able to keep up with OKC's youth or their speed or their athleticism. And with Holmgren's size, yeah, he wouldn't be able to keep up with Jokic, but Jokic would be tired out by all that running around that the Thunder do when it comes to their offense and their pace. So, this Thunder team, I think, will make it to the Western Conference second round next season. I think that OKC with SGA, Giddey, and Holmgren, they're going the right way. And, I think if I'm OKC, if I'm Sam Presti, I know this is going to be risky, but if let's say you are sitting there at 4th or 5th in the West at the trade deadline and Dallas is sitting there at, number 10th or 11th, I'm calling Mark Cuban in Dallas, and I'm going to offer 5 first-round picks and maybe a young player like a Giddey to Dallas and try to get Luka Doncic. Because I think that if they were to do that, yeah, it would be pushing the process. But let's face it, the thing about draft picks is people always hoard them, but you don't know if those draft picks will end up being successful. There's been many teams that have had a lot of draft picks that end up, drafting a bunch of busts, and those draft picks end up turning into failure. So I'm not a big fan of teams hoarding draft picks because I think that draft picks are very risky, and you don't know if the players you draft end up going to be doing good. And if you have a chance to get a superstar, yes, you do it. You do it in an instant to get a superstar talent, and that's what Luka Doncic is. And I would definitely get Luka if I have the chance to, if I'm OKC, because I think Luka lifts OKC from being a second-round Western Conference Finals team to being an instant championship contender.
I look at the Thunder, Isaiah. After this Patty Mills trade that just happened, they have 35 draft picks in the next 7 years. So the best is yet to come. You're talking about their draft picks. Mostly about Holmgren. He's going to move to the power forward position. He talked about how it's going to allow him to be more of a ball handler. He's going to be more in the action off the dribble. He's sitting at 5. The set just comes to him. So he's going to be having action on both sides of the pick and roll when you think about it. And it's cool and everything. I want to see how it works in the regular season with Jalen Williams and the other Jalen Williams and Lou Dort. It's just a lot of options to work with. It's pretty cool. And you look at Giddey and SGA working together well and everything they're going to have in the future. So I think, answering the question, I think it's going to be great for the Thunder, having Holmgren and everybody else that will come eventually. It's going to be awesome. And Isaiah, I know he wears number 7. Do you know who he reminds me of a little bit? His body, his game?
If I have to guess, number 7.
Think of his body. Think of the game that he has.
Kevin Durant?
Yeah. I think he's the white Kevin Durant. I mean, you take a look at Chet Holmgren. Dude is, 7'1", so he's a little bit taller.
Yeah.
But his game is right there. I remember watching him with Gonzaga. They would come to play the San Diego Toreros. And this dude would just ball out every game he played against him. So Holmgren, that dude's going to be around, of course, for a while. And he kind of reminds me of Kevin Durant. And it's just funny he ended up in Oklahoma City. So they're doing this all over again, maybe, with another Kevin Durant, but now with Chet Holmgren, and then a bunch of the draft picks and what they already have and what they're going to have in the future. So Oklahoma City, they're going to be around for a while, and I can't wait to see how they do. It's going to be a fun time there. I wish they were still in Seattle doing all this, to be honest with you, though.
Anyways, now we're back here. We're going to talk. The next thing we're going to talk about here is we're going to conclude with the NFL here. Is that free agent running back Dalvin Cook reportedly turned down a contract offer from the Dolphins. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk is reporting that the Jets and Dalvin Cook talks are heating up. You know what? It makes me think that Dalvin Cook's going to be a New York Jet now, despite him being a Dolphin. I wanted him to be a Miami Dolphin, but I think the Dolphins are going to settle with Raheem Mostert as their starting running back, Isaiah.
This has been the best choice for Dalvin Cook all along. Dalvin Cook, if he wants to win a Super Bowl, go to New York. Don't go to Miami. Go to New York. Because the thing is that the thing with the Jets and Dolphins that separate the two is that the Jets have a franchise quarterback and the Dolphins have a franchise quarterback in Tua, but he always gets hurt. But Aaron Rodgers doesn't get hurt. He's an Iron Man. And when you look at the Jets, this is going to really benefit Aaron Rodgers a lot, having two great running backs in Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook, if Dalvin Cook ends up coming to New York. And it will also benefit Dalvin Cook because he doesn't have to handle the load a lot, and it'll save his legs for the postseason. It reminds me of Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay had a good young running back in Ronald Jones. Why did they bring in Leonard Fournette? They needed a veteran presence, and also they needed a guy that could handle the load with Ronald Jones and also be there for the postseason. If you had Dalvin Cook, you would add him, to have a powerful duo with Breece Hall, and you would just save his legs for the postseason. Because imagine if you have Aaron Rodgers and you have the running back duo of Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook come playoff time. There's not really a lot of defenses that can stop that duo between those two. And, if you add DeAndre Hopkins as well, good luck. I think the Jets, they should definitely add Dalvin Cook. As a matter of fact, they should add DeAndre Hopkins as well, because if you really want to go all in for a Super Bowl this season, you need to go get both Cook and DeAndre Hopkins, more so DeAndre Hopkins, because right now you have a number one receiver in Garrett Wilson. You don't have another number one, which you need in the NFL. You need two elite wide receivers to win in the NFL. And I think that for the Jets, imagine you got Aaron Rodgers throwing to both DeAndre Hopkins and Garrett Wilson. Good luck the rest of the NFL.
What about you, James? Do you think Dalvin Cook is a New York Jet?
I want that to be the case. I felt like the Dolphins have too many running backs already. Honestly, I really did. And then, exactly what Isaiah said with the Jets. If he goes there with Hall, that's a really good thing for Rodgers. Because if the passing game ain't going, the pass blocking ain't there for some reason for Rodgers, you could run the ball or you can throw screen passes or something. Dalvin Cook is a really good pass catcher and runner. I really like watching him play. So I think it'd be a great move. Just think about this, guys. I was laughed at for saying Dalvin Cook should go to the Jets on another network, of course. I was laughed at. So the fact that this rumor comes out where he could go to the Jets, I'm really excited about it. And since the Raiders ain't going to do none, I think it'd be a cool story. That division is wild already when you think about it. You have the Bills and their problems. Tua can't stay healthy with Miami, but they have all the great players there. And then the Patriots are just trying to find their way right now. They don't have none of the quarterbacks are any good, to be honest with you. Juju Smith-Schuster is there for no reason, just wanted to follow the money. And then you have the Jets that are just trying to find lightning in a bottle right now with Aaron Rodgers and trying to win the Super Bowl. A reminder, they haven't won a Super Bowl since, 1969, Super Bowl III. So they're just trying to get back to at least the playoffs and maybe get lucky and win. But I think the Chiefs are right there. But, man, I would love if Cook went to the Jets so I can laugh at the other network who was laughing at me.
Anyways, now we're going to talk about DeAndre Hopkins. Rumors that the Chiefs, Patriots, and Titans have contact with the wide receiver. The two have made the offers. Where does D-Hop go? I want him in New England, but I could see him in Tennessee helping out the youngster in Treylon Burks and have a weapon for Will Levis. What about you, Isaiah?
DeAndre Hopkins should not go to any of the two places that are listed as interested if he really wants to win a Super Bowl. The team that DeAndre Hopkins should go to is plain and simple the San Francisco 49ers. Because the thing is, if you add DeAndre Hopkins to Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey, who is beating that team? There is no defense that will stop DeAndre Hopkins, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, and also add Elijah Mitchell into the fold, man. There's no defense that will stop them. Plus, you have a masterful play caller in Kyle Shanahan drawing up plays for all these guys. DeAndre Hopkins should take less and go to San Francisco if he really wants to win. The Niners are on the cusp of winning another Super Bowl, and I think that for D-Hop, you're at that point in your career where, you might as well just go to a winning team now because you made a lot of money already. And there's no contender out there that's going to pay you a lot of money and be a championship contender. Maybe the Jets will, who knows? But if he wants to win, come to the Bay. But if he wants money, you could go to Tennessee because Tennessee's not going to be doing anything anytime soon. New England's a good fit because they need a number one receiver, but I don't think with D-Hop, I don't think New England's a Super Bowl contender just with D-Hop. But like I said, San Francisco, I think, is the best fit for DeAndre Hopkins, and I think that if he doesn't go there, this will definitely make me want to throw up. But Kansas City, if he wants to win. But if he wants the money, Tennessee is the best fit for DeAndre Hopkins.
I could see him in Kansas City because I want to see him with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, that'd be a scary combination. Patrick Mahomes with DeAndre Hopkins, and you also bring in you also have Travis Kelce there as well. That would be a crazy great offense.
What about you, James? Where do you see DeAndre Hopkins ending up with?
The stupidest thing is anyone thinking, well, no, he might do it. If he goes to Tennessee, that'd be the stupidest thing. They don't have a quarterback. They're just like New England. I would put those two out right now. Why would you go to a loser right now that don't have a quarterback? I just don't get that. And you throw my Raiders into that situation too because they have all the reject quarterbacks that the Patriots didn't want. So right away, all those teams I would throw away. If you want to be a winner, and it pains me to say this as a Raider, you follow the Juju Smith-Schuster route. You go to the Kansas City Chiefs, and then you go try to get money somewhere else on a big contract the next year. Go win you a ring with Mahomes, as painful as that is for me to see, but go do that. And then make sure you get more, like me and Isaiah talked about earlier, make sure you get more money than Odell Beckham Jr. He got 15, 16 million. He could get more in incentives. Make sure you say, well, I'm not him. I'm better than him. He has a ring, but he didn't deserve that ring. With LA, I deserve a ring more than Odell. So Hopkins. If Kansas City really wants him, they should go get him, or Hopkins should make himself available for the Chiefs, but nowhere else. Not the Titans, not the Patriots, not the Raiders. And then, hey, he could take his time with this and also throw the Jets in there too. I wouldn't be surprised, because if a team's having a lot of injury problems like the Jets may have with their old receivers they have, a slot might be open for the Jets. So right now, my top three would be the Chiefs, the Jets, and throw in I heard somebody say Browns, but I don't know how much merit that has into it. It'd be cool if he went to the Lions. I would love to see Detroit get him and just work in that system with Jared Goff. I think that would be cool. So, yeah, my top three would be, the Chiefs, the Jets, and the Lions for DeAndre Hopkins.
I could see it's probably between New England and Kansas City for me. But anyways, it's been a great show. We have some final thoughts and announcements here. Don't forget the extra point is going to be returning at some point this month, where we will predict our division winners and all that. Plus, Kicking It with Curse will be back at some point. I don't know when. I mean, it's Ben's show, and then we'll have the hockey show with Taylor, Face Off, where Taylor will talk about the off season and all that. So this week we'll have more of that. So anyways, Isaiah, what are your final thoughts?
Well, my final thoughts is it was a great show. Laurel, thank you for hosting the show. You did a great job. It was a great – and James, also thanks for being on. Haven't done a show with you in a long while, man, so it was great to have you back. Yeah, man, great show, and can't wait for all the stuff that we have this upcoming week. I think we're having Kicking It with Cruz on sometime later this week. The hockey show, we'll get more info on that later on. But, yeah, I mean, great show, and shout out to Taylor Rapp for giving me a congratulatory speech on my 1-year anniversary of working at Alaska Airlines. It will be 1 year since I started on this upcoming Tuesday, so I can't wait for that. But shout out to you, Taylor Rapp. Hopefully you have a great season with the Bills this upcoming season, and maybe you take Buffalo to the Super Bowl against the Niners, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, shout out to Rapp. And one more thing. Happy birthday to my purple furry friend Grimace. It was his birthday today. Happy birthday, Grimace. And can't wait for Kicking It with Cruz. And I think Laurel, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Batter Up's coming back sometime. We might have an all-star edition of Batter Up coming up sometime this week as well.
What about you, James? What are your final thoughts?
I was good to hang out with Isaiah again and talk sports. Always a crazy takes and giving shout outs to random people. So it's good to see Isaiah again on screen.
And then James, you accidentally blocked me on Facebook. You want to re-add me again? James, you there?
I think we might be getting technical difficulties from James' side. I don't hear him on my end.
Okay, for James and Isaiah, Lauro signing off for now. Have a great day, and we leave you with this, Isaiah. Play.
We'll leave you with this, folks. Have a great night. But I said, if you gave me Mahomes, if you gave me Lamar Jackson with his great legs and Mahomes' great arm, when you give me Baker Mayfield, who would I want? I would want Baker Mayfield, and the reason why is because Baker Mayfield.
I really think that now this is the worst case scenario for the San Francisco 49ers, is that they're going to have to cut ties with Jimmy Garoppolo if I were them. What? Oh my God! Whoa, man!
In any event, Kyle Gibson is definitely my NL Cy Young Award winner. Rock on, Gibson.
And even no way!
Oh my God!